Hi, everyone. My name is Victoria with Virtualization and Cloud Review and AWSinsider.net, and I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. The topic of our webcast is Upskilling Your IT Workforce for Success in a Digital World, sponsored by Andela. Before we begin, just want to cover a few housekeeping details for today. We will have a Q&A session at the end of our event, so please type any questions that you have throughout the presentation into that Q&A box on your console, and we'll make sure to get them answered for you. Andela has also provided some resources which do correspond with today's event, so please take a moment to check those out. They are located to the right-hand side of your audience console. I also want to note that today's webcast is being recorded, so make sure you keep an eye out for a link in your email to rewatch the presentation or to share it with a colleague. And now I would like to introduce our speakers for today. We have the pleasure of hearing from Greg Schulz, founder of independent IT analyst firm StorageIO, and Renato Sugano, cloud matching specialist at Andela. So we're in for a really great event today, and with that, I will pass the time over to Greg and Renato to get us started.
Hey, great. Thanks, Victoria, and welcome, Renato, joining us from Sao Paulo, Brazil today. So it's not just a digital world, it's a big world, but we're all connected. So welcome.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Victoria. It's a pleasure to be here. Hope you all have a great time talking to us.
Outstanding. All right, so let's just get right into it. And today we're going to be talking about upskilling your IT workforce for success in a digital world. That's our theme. And here's our talk track, what we're going to be talking about today, our agenda, if you like it. We're going to talk about some trends, issues, challenges, but also opportunities, along with driving business innovation, having a skilled IT workforce, leveraging that IT workforce, the education, the enablement, and alignment, also measuring your investment in that workforce, and are you getting that return on that investment? We're going to go through some best practices along with the Andela value proposition, give you some information on where to learn more, where to go deeper on the subject, but also absolutely your questions. And go ahead and you could submit them as we go along here. And with that, let's just get right into it. And real quickly, just kind of setting that stage, when we talk about a digital world, the digital world is supported by the IT, the information systems, and the data infrastructures that support them. And the idea being that infrastructures are anything below where your point of reference happens to be. So if your point of reference happens to be an application developer, well, everything below you is infrastructure. If you're working at, say, the infrastructure, or i.e. the data infrastructure, the servers, the storage, the network, the hardware, the software at different levels, anything below you is infrastructure. So what this is just doing is kind of setting that stage. On the top are those services that are used to support the business, to bring value, to transform data into information. And then what we're seeing is over on that right, up and down that stack, if you would, the various levels, the various altitudes, the various layers, focus areas. And what this is really setting that stage for is that there's a lot of different skill sets, there's a lot of different technologies up and down that stack, but also horizontally. If we look horizontally from the edge to on-prem, core hybrid, multi-cloud, but also all the different variations that fall in there. Any thoughts, comments on there, Renato?
No, that's totally correct. Working daily with clients and engineers all around, we can see that there are several skills. They are requiring different ones, so day by day, this increases, and we have to find in the market new technologies.
So is it safe to say that cloud has not reduced or diminished the need for additional skill sets?
Correct. Cloud actually brought us different technologies that we have to learn and improve every day.
Well, and you know what, let's just, drill into this a little bit more as we go a little bit further into our discussion. Again, that there are these different layers, that there are these different focus areas up and down that stack, but also horizontally, which means that even if we take it, the classic, the IaaS, the PaaS, the SaaS layers, that there are those different skill sets that are required, that are needed to be effective, up and down that, but also across horizontally. Any comments there, Renato?
No, that's totally correct. We see clients going straight to the cloud, coming from on-prem, and that brings us a different layers also of developers and cloud engineers. That's perfectly correct.
And to be fair, and with some of those focus areas, there are common skills. Like, do you know PowerShell, or can you do scripting? Can you do Python? Some of those are common up and down that layer, and even horizontally. But then you start to get into some different specifics. And Renato, you mentioned something interesting there, that when people say we're going to the cloud, we're doing the cloud move, we're doing that transformation, to me it's like, oh, wait a minute, okay, time out. You're doing a migration. Are you lifting and shifting and moving, or are you re-architecting? Are you doing that complete new type renovation? Are you doing a cloud native? Or are you doing that lift and shift, or somewhat in between?
Yeah, that's the thing. Depends on each client, each needs. They go all the possible directions. So they started on-prem and they decided to move to the cloud, maybe to try to reduce costs into hardware, maybe just trying some innovations. We can see that they go straight where their needs ask.
And you mentioned something there about cost. A lot of people went to the cloud because they're looking to escape from CapEx spending. Really attractive on that OpEx spending. And now all of a sudden they're at the cloud. They're like, hey, you know what? Our OpEx cost went up. Well, surprise, surprise. That was your focus. But, so the people are looking at, here, let's do this transformation, but you've got to re-equip the workforce. This is where reskilling, upskilling comes into play, is that, look, if you're going to do a transformation and you're going to do a completely new cloud native, you've got the different tools in the toolbox. You've got the different skill sets, the trade craft, different things like that. But they also need to be continually enhanced and invested upon.
Correct. I totally agree, yeah.
All right. Well, let's get into this a little bit more. So, we just kind of touched there briefly on cloud cost and budgets. There is that, I think it's very, very important, is that you are investing. If you're investing in your hardware, software, but not your people, you're missing out on opportunities. Not to call it peopleware, but that you do need to be aware of your people, so to speak. What are some of the things that you're seeing, Renato? I mean, as a cloud matcher, tell us what a cloud matcher is. I assume it's more than deciding you should go to AWS and you should go to Google. Help us out on that and what you are seeing.
Sure. So first of all, what is a matcher here? Someone that will hear and listen to the client, understand their needs, and guide them into a team of engineers, right? So my job consists of in listening to the client, at the same time finding the perfect engineers to support that. One thing that you mentioned that makes a lot of sense, that I totally agree. Cloud costs, right? It was like great that now we don't have to worry about CapEx, about hardware, and we could go straight to the cloud, move and migrate applications, databases, everything that you had on the on-prem into a cloud environment. But now we are seeing that this is extremely costly, and we have to manage that by ourselves. How is that? Of course, by our working force, our engineers. They are the ones that knows exactly where are you spending a lot, what are you using a lot, and they are there to help you. That's one of our clients' issues and one of their ask for support. And that's what we do here at Andela, finding them solutions.
So when people are coming to Andela, and you as the cloud matcher, what's the most common things people are looking for?
From the most common, I would say that, number one, I would like to enhance my environment. Now I have some larger demands. I want to make my environment bigger, safer, and more reliable, scalable, of course. So I need a team of engineers that with all the experience to help me do that. That's always the number one. Of course, number two, nowadays, I am spending a lot with my environment. I need someone to take a look, right, as a whole, and points to me where exactly I'm spending so much and how can I do to reduce these costs, right? So it's always this balance between I want a strong and reliable environment, but also I want to make sure that I'm tracking all my costs to make my environment more cost effective.
And part of it is we're seeing some organizations doing the cloud shifting where they've gone from cloud A to cloud B to cloud C, or from technology shifting, so forth. But that's also been a challenge with the people where they go from organization A to organization B. They're just moving around. What can organizations do to maximize that investment for that retention?
That's absolutely great. So what do we need right now? What clients need? They need strong engineers, capable ones that really love to work in cloud environments. But how can we hold them? Like, yes, of course, they can move, they can do that, but investing in your engineers is always the best path, right? Because you don't have all the work, all the trouble to find new ones, you should invest in them, keep them, offer them certifications, training. There's a lot of programs there that can help you with that. And especially because they already know your environment, right? Who knows better than our engineers, our environment, right? Who knows better than them? So I believe that's a great investment. Certifications and trainings, that would be the best path for our engineers.
Outstanding. Let's move our conversation on a little bit. So we've talked a bit on challenges, the background, Renato. Let's take a little bit closer look at about driving that business innovation with that skilled IT force. In other words, you invest in somebody, you want to retain them, you want to maximize that return out of that resource. Let's go into this a little bit. We touched already about, there's this myth that cloud eliminates the need for skilled IT workforce, where the reality, it's the opposite. With the sprawl of the technologies, the proliferation of different platforms. But walk us through, expand on what we've been talking about, Renato, about enabling organizations to innovate with that skilled workforce.
Exactly. Cloud does not eliminate in any way the skilled IT force. On the contrary, why is that? The cloud environment, they created several different technologies, and it's up for the environment owner to decide which ones to use. So we need to have strong engineers in those required skills so you can manage your environment, right? There's a vast different kinds of tools. We can say about CI/CD tools. We can say about programming languages, scripting language. There's a vast, let's say, differential of skills that we need for our talents to have. So how can a company invest in their talents, right? Of course, as I mentioned, you have to offer them a training program, a certification program. This will help you to keep your employees always strong in their skills. And of course, help your environment. However, you can also, your daily, you can come to Andela and maybe you can hire some support, right? Most of the companies, they have super strong DevOps team, but sometimes the projects are a lot at the same time, so they require some support and skilled IT engineers to go there and support them in the project, so you don't you don't require your team to do everything at the same time, right? This is also great because bringing people from outside with great skills, it's also helpful for the team, especially because they can help each other in the trainings and in the processes.
So let's turn this around the other way. Is that, we just talked about, what an organization can do. Let's take it the other way, is what can the workers do to maximize their potential?
Yes. Well, first of all, studying, it's something that we never should stop doing, right? Just because, let's say, just because I know AWS the fullest, I know everything about AWS, it doesn't mean that I have to stop there and rely on that skill forever, right? why not try to learn more about Azure, learn more about GCP, for example. Be stronger in Terraform in a Kubernetes environment. I should motivate myself to grow as an engineer so I can go there and offer like my skills into better positions, better paid positions. We're talking about our workforce. So don't stop. I know that we think like, oh, I'm doing great in my job. I know a lot of AWS, but don't stop. Go ahead. I want you to learn. And we brought some cases, some examples on how these skills, like studying is the best way for the engineers, but also for clients, right? When they want to improve the environment and they want to increase their engineers with different skill sets.
Yeah, that is so important. Just, keep learning, keep learning. If you think you know it all, you don't. And like you said, learn, horizontally, but also vertically. Don't be bashful about moving and looking at or becoming more aware of the different adjacencies above, below, but also of the different technologies, just become more aware of them. Doesn't mean you have to like them or become an expert at, but at least become aware of that. So looking at that aspect, Renato, you've got a great little story here. Why don't you walk us through this?
Sure. Well, as everyone heard on the market, Microsoft owns now GitHub, right? GitHub was already a huge company. Now they are even bigger. What happened? Well, GitHub has a lot of clients. They use their products a lot. Once Microsoft is now the owner, they decided that they want to do a plan to migrate all of their clients. It depends from on-prem, from AWS, from GCP, to an Azure environment, right? This would recall a lot of work, right? We are not saying, oh, GitHub didn't have the engineers. No, they had several engineers, but think about how many clients they had. So they came to Andela and said, look, we need a group. We are going to do in phases 1, 2, and 3, and we are going to migrate a lot of talent, a lot of clients to Azure. No problem. We got a team, 1 project manager to organize everything, and 4 skilled DevOps with experience in Azure, AWS, and GCP, and especially in migration, right? Because we are talking about migration. This is something that let's say it's sensitive because we are moving information from one place to the other. So our engineers were focused on that. This project was great because we came with the team, we placed them there, and they said, go ahead, let's start this migration. And it works perfectly. So as this is what I was saying, like sometimes the client have a lot of projects and they have a skilled team, but they could use some help, right? That's why we are here. We can offer this team, we can offer the support, and especially they require the skills for the project.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much there. And I think a couple takeaways is the fact that in this example, you are going up and down that stack, but that you also mentioned, Renato, moving across, horizontally, from not just AWS, not just Azure, but then there's that financial, there's that business aspect, the things that get the IT organizations looking in there. There's a lot of aspects to this, and just that importance of learning, retooling as you move along. So speaking of moving along, let's talk more about IT workforce education, enablement, and alignment. And I don't know about you, but it's like, I didn't learn anything today. To me, that feels like I didn't accomplish anything if I didn't learn something. And it doesn't have to mean, becoming an expert in something new, just learning or becoming aware of new adjacencies. So walk us through, again, you're that cloud manager. And, when you're working with people that they're talking with you, whether it be, the talent, the individual, or, the hiring entity, expand on that skill set and experience of the workforce.
Yes, I've been talking to several engineers every day for the past 1.5 years. And I think one of my personal goals here is always to tell them to go ahead and learn more, right? What does that mean, right? Since last year, I've been seeing some changes in our clients' requirements and in the market, of course. I would just use this as an example, because I think this is something really good for our future engineers and the actual engineers. Normally in a cloud environment, we have our DevOps, they work with automations, and that's great. But I see that some clients are requiring, for example, programming languages, right? Why programming languages? This is something the software developers do. With DevOps, we support them, but we usually don't work directly with the programming language. But they are requesting, right? Why? So we can keep the communication between the software developer and the DevOps as clear as possible. I want you to read that Java or Python or Golang. I want you to be able to read that and maybe find some errors and help them fix. This is an important growth, for example, because I never, like, as a DevOps, I will never think like, no, I don't need a programming language. I have my scripting language knowledge. I can work. No, this is showing how we have to evolve and have the differential in the market, right? Another point is really important is the FinOps, as we say, the financial operation inside the cloud, because as we mentioned in the beginning, now clients are realizing that cloud is expensive and we need to be careful. Just because you can use at your will doesn't mean you're not going to pay for it, right? So this is a required skill. Some clients say like, oh, great, you have a lot of experience in cloud, but do you know how to optimize the environment so we have a cost reduction? If you don't have it, they will say, oh, I need someone to do that. Why? Because it's not just upgrading everything. We have to control ourselves, right? Oh, do I need to upgrade that? This will generate more costs. So two skills that were not mandatory in the past, but now they are being required. That's why here on Andela, when I speak with my engineers and we talk about your skills, like what you're strong at, what you think you could improve, that's the part when I go then to say, then you should improve that. This is great for many clients. This is great for many environments. This technology is now being more used than the other, This is how I try to make them always learn and go go higher into their training, learning, and certifications.
And that ties back to, we were chatting about that a little bit ago, Renato, is that, if all you know is Python, everything's going to look like a Python problem versus an opportunity to do something differently. So,
Yes.
Learn something else. Likewise, if all you know is Jenkins, or if all you know is Spring or .NET or whatever it happens to be, expand those horizons. Back when I was a programmer, it's like, first language, so each additional one becomes easier. So why not learn or at least become familiar with it? But then also the different tools. And then you touched on something there that we're going to go into more in a moment, is different aspects. It's not necessarily the coding or the scripting or the gluing or the taping, however, bringing things together. Things like the FinOps, DevOps, different things like that, where it's gaining that insight, that awareness that helps you to figure out, hey, you know what? I think I know where the problem is based on looking at these logs or these traces or something like that. So, Renato, you mentioned a bunch there, and you've got this here great solution. Can you walk us through it?
Yes, this is actually, that example brings a little bit of what we talked in the beginning about our clients and also the companies, of course, and also engineers. So this example, one of our clients is Scholastic. They were having some issues to deploy a new product because their work team, they were not used to that kind of technology, right? So what they did, they came to us, they asked support, engineering support, because they were in a hurry to deploy this application, right? It was a product that they were going to launch. So what we did, we talked to them and said, look, we are going to provide the engineers, we are going to support you with the deployment, but also we will help you transfer this knowledge for your team. Again, the company has to invest in their engineers, right? It's not the best way just hiring new ones. No, invest on they're there for so long, so let's invest on them. And we gave the support. So we launched the product and we helped them with the project, and we also transferred the knowledge So we trained some of their engineers so they can have more so they can know how exactly do the follow-up and the maintenance for that. That shows like how versatile we are, because any kind of project you have in mind, we can support you. We can offer you like managers to help and train your team. We can support you in projects to deploy applications, to deploy new environments. We are here to support you in any needs that you have. So that was great for the client.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And, an interesting thing there that you mentioned, Renato, is that it's one thing to place an experienced engineer into an organization, but it's even better when others are able to learn from that experienced engineer, that osmosis effect, but also going the other way, where that experienced engineer learns more about that particular organization, that particular business, that particular focus area. That engineer now gets like the reverse osmosis that is able to take and leverage that to enhance their trade craft, their experience.
That's absolutely true. So both sides won, that we had the client happy. Our engineers, they learn about this new product, they learn about the client. Their engineers learn about how to keep up and follow up with this environment and this product. It was a great product, actually.
Outstanding. So let's move along. That, we've talked about the challenges, we've talked about driving innovation, the awareness, the enablement. Let's touch a little bit about measuring your IT workforce investment, something that management likes to do. But there is that, okay, how am I doing? Am I as an entity, as an organization, am I investing properly? As the individual, am I becoming more valuable, more experienced, learning? Let's talk about that. And one of the things that I want to chat about real quickly here, certifications versus experience, and it's kind of like a chicken and the egg. You need them both. What are you running into?
Well, how to measure your IT workforce investment? Of course, you need skilled engineers, right? We are talking about people who will take care of your business, right? Your whole business, because we are talking about your products, your applications. How to measure that? It depends, right? We have a lot of examples. We have one great example that we're going to bring next to that. But what is your actual company need right now, right? So let's say you have just a small container environment, but you want to make it huge, you want to make it bigger, maybe turn it into a Kubernetes environment. Is your engineers that have been working there for a long time, do they know how to migrate that to a Kubernetes environment? We're using an infrastructure as code, a Terraform. Do they know? No, great. So let's start giving them the training, right? We can bring from the market someone that has the knowledge to support, but invest in your team. That's one point to make sure that you can grow with your engineers. But how to measure, like what the metrics, for example? A good example, you are trying to deploy a coding in your environment and for an application, and then you face several errors and bugs into the coding, right? You waste a lot of time because this is not working properly, it's not on production, so you have to go back and fix the code and search the code, see what happened. That means it's not very effective, right? Your application, because you found a lot of bugs. So what would be the best to do here? Put someone stronger, right? In coding, in the deployment, in the pipeline, in the automation. If you invest more in someone that has more skills, that has more knowledge, maybe you won't have a problem in the end on the production, right? In your application deployment. You won't find a lot of errors and bugs, then you have to move everyone into maybe evening or late to try to fix this bug because the clients are not being able to access, right? This is a great point because it shows that investing in your engineers will make your environment like super cost effective, right? It's less work. You don't have to waste a lot of time redoing things. So you can easily deploy your applications, easily deploy your environment. So you don't have to worry them. It's cost we're talking about, right? Less hours worked for more effectiveness in the environment. I think this is one of the great examples that I like to use. on the metrics, right, side of this IT workforce investment.
You know, Renato, there's a good point. There's a good point there, which is some organizations, particularly manufacturing or things like even in logistics, they understand the not just efficiency, but the effectiveness of and productivity of rework and waste. How can they remove rework? How can they remove waste from their processes? Okay, but yet it seems to be something that gets neglected. Where, like in the IT side to it, it's like, just do it for the lowest cost. But that lowest cost is actually costing them more. And you've got a great another story here to walk us through.
Yes, this is the weather company. Now IBM owns the weather company. They are one of our biggest clients. In this case, what happened? When IBM bought the weather company, they decided that they wanted to expand. They wanted to make it huge. How do you make, let's say, an entire environment bigger? With engineers, right? So they need a strong workforce, skilled engineers, because they were starting to increase like super fast, with their speed up the increase of the environment. They needed they needed software developers, they needed DevOps cloud engineers, they need like data and AI engineers. That was a crazy project. It was really fun because we placed many engineers there, right? So in each area we had at least 10 engineers working, and they were able to expand from 3 countries to 15. It was super fast. It was great. The work was great. Our engineers just came there and they do like a great partnership with the already there engineers from the weather company. The expansion project was great, and that just showed that all they needed was an initial investment on the workforce, on the IT workforce, right? Because they already had the environment. Of course, this generated more costs for the cloud environment, but they were in a hurry. So what's the best idea than to hire a strong workforce so they can speed up and grow? This is one of the great examples that we have about investing in IT skilled workforce.
And then again, you've got the different skills, is that not just the skills, not just the tools, but the processes, the best practices, that overall skill set, developing your overall tradecraft capability, Renato. That's fantastic. So let's jump into shift gears here a little bit. Let's talk about some best practices along with the Andela value proposition.
Yes. So after speaking a lot, I think that people are saying like, but what is Andela? Like, I don't understand yet. That's why I'm here to explain a little bit. Andela was a startup years ago, but now we are grown, we are big, and we run over like 135 countries. What are our goals, right? There's one main goal that I would like to share, but we say that brilliance is everywhere, but opportunity not, right? What that means, sometimes companies in the United States, in Europe, they are looking for a specific workforce. They need some specific skills. They need someone specific, right? How do they find? Through us, because we have like over 150,000 engineers in our network from all around the world. As you can see, I'm from Brazil, but we have people in Africa, in India, in Asia, in everywhere. We connect these opportunities with our engineers that we call talents because they are all talents, right? That makes the world like more connected than before, because now a company in the United States can hire someone from Brazil like me to work directly with them, remote, and help them with their environment, with their needs. Easily is the easiest as possible that it can be. If I can move to the next one, I would like to tell a little bit more. Sorry. Again, we have over 150,000 engineers that we call the technologists all around the world in 135 plus countries. And what is the best? I'm going to say for clients who are willing to, who wants to know us better and hire one of our talents, pretty easy. We have an AI-powered engine into our website. So basically, you just go there, you create an account, you register, like you open a position, you create your own position, describe, like create a job description, add some skills that you would like to your engineer to have, and our AI will go and search into our over 150,000 engineers, and we'll find the perfect matches for you. Not just one. We are going to give you some 3 or 4 or 5 different options, so you can take a look and say, oh, they are a perfect fit for my project. Now, talking for the engineers that I would like to invite you guys to join Andela, super simple. You're also going to register there. We are going to apply some tests with you according to your skills. You don't have to be cloud engineers or DevOps. No, you can be a software developer. You can be a project manager. We have several different technologies that you can apply for. Just a few tests. Once you pass, you're in. You can create your, let's say it's like a resume, but it's a page with all of your skills and your certifications, your previous works. And then you will be on our network ready to receive an offer from us. And what exactly, where I am into all of these things, I am a matcher, right? My job here is one, help our clients if they want an extra help finding talents. I can look for them into our network according to their job description. And from talents, I'm here to guide them, to show them like, look, you need to improve this skill because several positions are asking more years of experience, more background that. So we serve also as a guidance to all the engineers that join because we are close to the clients, right? So we know what they want. And for us, we just want to show everyone like, be the best in this, be the best in that. This will make everything easier for us. Pretty much that's Andela. If you guys have any doubts, I'll be here to answer, but join us. You will be the best. And we're pretty sure we're going to connect you with great opportunities and connect clients with great engineers also.
So, I mean, that's a great perspective is that you are the cloud matcher. You've got the AI, but you're adding more value than just leveraging AI for, sifting through CVs and resumes, stuff like that. You're actually more of that navigator, helping organizations, helping individuals navigate their way around, in and around the cloud and in the digital world, Renato.
Yes, that's actually something I really, really enjoy because I talk to several people every day, mostly our engineers, and I really, really like to talk to them and check their resumes and see, like giving them some tips how to improve based on the previous position we have. So I think this is the best part of my job, helping people. So to find the way to find like the best path on to study, on to certificate, on to grow, to have more opportunity into the global markets that we are working for.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So let's look a little bit more. And here's a couple QR codes that, talk us through. You got to join Andela. You've got to hire the talent today. What would you like to say about these, Renato?
We separated in 2 QR codes. So if you are a client, you want to hire engineers from all around the world, please use the left one so you can create your account and start creating your jobs and adding your skills. If you are an engineer looking for opportunities, looking for even to talk to me and discuss a little more about the market situation, you can use the right one, which is join Andela as a talent, as we say. So more focus into engineers that want to join our network and be part of this huge family.
And Renato, for those like myself, I don't have the plugin on my glasses right now to be able to read a QR code. I suppose I could get my phone out. Could it be as simple as just going to andela.com?
Yes, you can go to andela.com. You will find the links directly to client, let's say client.andela and talent@andela, right? So you can find there easily. Just andela.com, you can get all the links there.
Outstanding. And so with that, let's shift into some Q&A. And again, reminder, we've got some queued up already, Renato. But for the audience, submit your questions. We've got Renato here. He can help you navigate. He's a cloud matcher. So get your questions in, and let's just, if you're ready, Renato, go into some Q&A. So we've got one here right off the bat from Paul. Is training a workforce on AI the most high value upskilling to make, or are there skills of greater value and need?
That's a great question. AI, as we know, it's on top nowadays. We can share that AI, we use AI for several different purposes. You can train, yes, a workforce into the AI. Of course, thinking about how you plan to use that, right? In a cloud environment, AI is very, very, very supportive when we are talking about checking codes or even writing codes. We have several corporation AIs that helps us daily in our work, but you can use also AI in your company to maybe require some information, require some data. AI, like we said, it's something really, it's on top of everything. AI you can use for pretty much everything. So check what exactly your company is like focus, and how could you use the AI to help in your daily work, right? To optimize your work, and then decide if it's worth it to focus on that or not, right? If we're talking about cloud, AI is super important, yes, but AI won't do everything in environment. So I would say that other skills are greater value. I would say something like Terraform and Kubernetes, super important. All the cloud providers, scripting and programming languages, they are always welcome to be training and certified, right? This is something that we're going to use for a long, long time. AI is more of a, let's say, it's something that complements the cloud environment. Not exactly AI will do everything for us. So depending on how your company is going, how is your environment, you can think if AI would be the number one or the other cloud technologies would be the number one.
Outstanding. So Renato, we got another one here from Lynn. How can organizations create a culture that encourages continuous learning and development for their IT teams?
Perfect. This is something that, of course, demands investments, right? All the training and certification, it demands investments. They have costs, right? But this is what we were talking in the first, like how a company measures the IT investments. That's part of it, right? If the company wants to grow, they should also help the engineers to grow. So how can we, like the organizations can create this culture? Let's start offering simple certifications. Let's start with, let's say, a basic one. Talking about cloud environments, let's try an AWS practitioner. Let's try an Azure at the same level of practitioner. Let's start with that. Saying, everyone let's try to do the tests, do the training. If it starts to work out, and then they will see, of course, in the future when people are more training how this is better for the environment. But they can implement, like, start once per year, and then the next year, let's try everyone the solutions architect. I'm saying that because Andela is doing that, right? They are offering us the training. They say, this year, let's try to get the practitioner for those who doesn't have. Next year, let's try to take the solutions architect. And they are helping with the costs, right? The most important thing, I believe, that to encourage our engineers to grow is helping them, because some certifications are really expensive, right? So the company should think this as an investment, right? I want my engineers to be the best, and I want them to be the best here with me, because they already know my environment. So 100% would go for that. Let's try it 1 year first, and then see how people accept, and then move maybe 2 a year, growing every month.
As you mentioned, Renato, cost is important, but it's one thing to have somebody pay for it for you. There's also just investing in yourself, investing, learning that new tools, those new technologies, those new skill set practices. And, whether it's the cloud providers, different entities, organizations, they're making it easier where they have those learning resources where you can go to Azure and get the free credits. where you can go through the different workouts to be able to go through that whole ecosystem up, down, in different ways to help get that experience that sets you up for that self. So again, investing in yourself is also important.
That is 100% true, and I agree. And I would say by the experience here, speaking with so many engineers, when we talk about jobs, of course, we are talking about payment rates and how the skill sets. Investing in yourself means that you can go for higher positions, right? That is absolutely true. We have engineers with several different certifications, and they were extremely costly. Like, we know there are certifications that may cost up like $400. They invested in themselves, and they have what it takes for positions that, let's say, pays higher than the other, right? So the investment is paying back, right? Because now they have greater positions, they have greater projects. So I think that before thinking like how companies are going to encourage you to take certification, you should encourage yourself first, right? Because once you are there looking for a job, trying to go into a project, we are going to look at your resume and you're going to think like, oh, you don't have any certifications, you didn't do the training, like, oh no. So, you know, it's better for you to invest in yourself first. That, I think, is the key to start the search.
Great. Renato, we got another question here from Wanda. Can you elaborate on the adaptive hiring model that was mentioned earlier?
Sure. Yes, of course, the adaptive AI hiring. So what does that mean? Once a client register at Andela, right, and creates the first job, right? There is a page, we're going to put the job title, the job description, what skills you need, some overlapping hours. We are talking about a global corporation, so overlap hours is important, contract length, everything. The AI from Andela, they will read all that information. And with that, it will find exactly in our network which engineers can attend to those skills, overlapping hours, even the rates, of course. And they will bring back to our clients, look, we have 5 engineers that can attend all of your needs. Oh, great, but right now, actually, I added the AWS, but it's supposed to be Azure. I'm going just to change. Boom, the AI will go and redo the search because maybe they brought the talents only had AWS. They will go and bring. In case you add some skill that say that's extremely rare, that we don't use that often, maybe they will find the closest one through, for example, the background of they have there. So in my background, I have worked in a company that uses the skill X. Oh, the AI will find that and they will bring to you based on your background. So it's pretty simple for clients, and our AI will do all of the job. And it's pretty fast, right? In a couple of minutes, you will get already the talents that you were looking for. That's the differential from Andela, right? We speed up the hiring process. The clients don't have to worry about human resources and everything because we are going to take care of that. We are going to place the talents. We are going to manage them. If you want to manage, of course, by yourself, you can. There's nothing we can do when we talk about finding the best engineers for our clients.
Great. So another question comes in from Sue. How do you recommend balancing legacy and cloud native skills in an organization?
Legacy, you mean like on-prem?
It could be from an on-prem, but it could also be a legacy app, maybe something that's been around as opposed to all new, doing everything cloud native, everything in Kubernetes.
Well, when we talk about, for example, applications, this can be a little bit tricky because if you have a legacy application and you decide to move that to the cloud, this is actually a pretty, let's say, pretty difficult job to do this migration because we have to adapt this technology that, let's say, it's a little bit older into something new, right? Let's say this is an application that connects the clients connects outside, so you have to rebuild the networking on that. You have to make it compatible with the cloud environment. You have to make sure that you don't lose the information, so you have like databases to migrate into the cloud. This is a very, very complex project, right? We have several of them with our clients. They want to bring to the cloud. But also, you can use, of course, the on-prem maybe as a disaster recovery. You can keep that. You don't have to erase that. So I think in order to balance legacy into a cloud, it will depend on the size of your application and how much you want to be on the cloud, right? I think like for our engineers that they work with that every day, it's pretty simple. The client wants just to keep that. You can connect both, of course. So this is a really hard project that we've been through in the past. But the balance is depending on how much you want this application to be on the cloud or be on-prem. It will depend totally on the client, but it's doable, right? All you just need a very good and skilled engineer to help you with this project.
And Renato, I think that's also where context comes into play. When somebody says, we touched on this earlier, is that somebody says, we're going to the cloud. Great. We're migrating to the cloud. Good. What's the context? Are they just lifting and shifting, and changing the endpoints and the connectors, pretty much just complete lift and shift? Or are they going to do, hey, we're starting from complete scratch. We're going cloud native all in. But then there's somewhere in between, which you were kind of touching on there. So that context really comes into play. And I imagine that's also coming into play when you're doing your matching of the skill sets versed on what it is that somebody's saying they want their migration to be.
Yes. That's something that, first of all, we need to understand the general need, right? So for example, I have a full environment on-prem and I decided to migrate that to the cloud. Okay, why you decided to do that? You want to reduce your CapEx data center costs and want to keep on the cloud? Yes, okay, great. So we have to create an environment from scratch. We have to check, the size of our environment to see if we can fit in some containers, if we can need to go deeper and bigger, if we can go with Kubernetes. Let's check how the needs, let's say. Mostly clients want to move to the cloud exactly thinking on it's easier to manage in the cloud. You don't need to worry about hardware, but also with that thinking about I can manage the costs. I think the costs will be less because I don't have to spend 20 million in a server. I can just use AWS. And that's the tricky part, right? If you want to move your environment to the cloud, hire engineers with the expertise, right? Because they will see the size, they will tell you how much storage, RAM, anything you need in the cloud, and they can have a base of how much you're going to spend every month having your environment in the cloud, right? And then clients will start considering like, yes, I think from 10 years, I think I will be spending more if I kept just updating my hardware. But I have the security, I have like, it's easy, I can access from everywhere. This is all should be put on balance, but talk to an engineer, an expert before, deciding, so they can give you the best scenario. They can analyze this migration process, which it's not easy. And we are talking about your whole company applications, your databases. We are talking about moving that to the cloud, right? So it must be done really, really carefully to make sure you won't lose anything.
Great. Renato, we got another question here from Tom. And you touched on this, so it might just be a matter of re-summarizing, but what are some of the most in-demand skills right now?
We're talking about DevOps, which I talked to several DevOps. I will list some. So cloud providers, right? In a ranking, number 1, AWS. In the second goes Azure. So AWS is always the main requirement. We have for CI/CD pipelines. Most of the AWS users go for Jenkins, right? Jenkins is like the most common right now. But for Azure users, they use a lot of Azure DevOps tool, which is actually pretty great. You can be used in AWS also. Monitoring, Prometheus and Grafana are always the top one, but Datadog is one of great monitoring tool. And in Azure environments, they have their own native monitoring and observability tool, which is also very used. I use it a lot. I mean, Terraform and Kubernetes, number one, right? They are super important for clients that has a Kubernetes environment, the clients that use infrastructure as code. Knowing how to write the Terraform codes and create your infrastructure as code is super important. So I would recommend you to practice a lot. Scripting languages are the usual, such as Bash, TypeScript, Shell, just a regular. Sometimes Python as a scripting is also works. And well, like I mentioned before, clients are looking for programming languages, and Python is the number one, right? Because DevOps use Python for scripting, but if they know how to use it as programming, perfect. Clients will love that. In the second, I would say Java. Java is pretty common. And in third, Golang. Several cloud engineer positions, the clients are requiring Golang. So it's something to think about for the future. I think these are the main tools.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, don't worry. I think these are the main skills that I hear every day. Sometimes we have different ones like Bolt-tree in AWS for SDKs, and then you must know Python to do that. There are a lot of different skills they require, but these are the top ones that they required in our positions.
Great. Sorry about that interruption, but just to start to wrap up here, Renato, and I guess, what are your closing thoughts, your closing recommendations, your closing tips before we wrap up?
Yes. First of all, I would like to thank you so much, because I think my goal here today was to tell everyone that is looking, companies, invest in your engineers, right? The cloud and IT sector, it's evolving pretty fast. It's not something that we can rely on this one technology forever. So we need investment, we need training, we need this culture, of giving training to the IT in general. We're not saying just in cloud, but in general. And also for engineers, we know how important it is to keep studying, keep learning. This market evolves really, really fast. One day I'm talking about a tool, and the next week the tool is not working anymore. It's in the past. So I want you all to think about that, how the market is evolving, right? I gave some examples as programming language for DevOps. This is not very common, but as much as you are willing to learn, go ahead, take your time to that. I've talked about certifications. I know they are expensive, but try to manage to get one here, one next year. Try to do that, because you are going to compete with a lot of other engineers, and some details can be like this decisive if you are running for a position or not. So I think that was my goal today. I hope everyone enjoyed a little bit of my daily, and thank you so much.
Outstanding. Thank you, Renato. Thank you, everybody, for attending today's discussion. And this is Greg Schulz. I'm going to hand it back to Victoria for our wrap-up. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Greg. Yeah, thank you, Greg. Thank you, Renato. That is all the time we have for today. So again, thank you so much to our presenters for today, Greg and Renato, for being on with us. Thank you to the audience for attending today's webcast. And a special thank you to Andela for sponsoring today's event, presented by Virtualization and Cloud Review and AWS-Insider.net. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.